What if I told you that deep in Lebanon, there's a single block of stone that weighs 1,650 tons? That's heavier than 10 blue whales stacked on top of each other. Our most powerful modern cranes can barely lift a fraction of that weight. And what if I told you that wasn't the craziest part? Because at the same site, an ancient, unknown people lifted other stones weighing 800 and 900 tons each and placed them 23 feet in the air with surgical precision. The gaps between them are so tight you couldn't fit a piece of paper or even a needle between them. This is Baalbek, and for decades we've been told a story about who built it that is provably, absolutely wrong. Today we're not just looking at the stones. We're following the evidence trail that historians seem to ignore. By piecing together every clue, from microscopic tool marks to geological records, we are going to solve this mystery. And the answer will completely shatter your understanding of the ancient world. Part 1. The scene of the crime. When you arrive at Baalbek, you see what looks like a typical Roman ruin. Grand columns, crumbling temples. It's what the Romans called Heliopolis, the city of the sun. The main attraction is the Temple of Jupiter, one of the largest in the entire Roman Empire. But that's not why we're here. The real mystery is what the temple is built on top of. Beneath the Roman work lies a colossal foundation platform. A platform made of stones so immense, it feels like a different world. Walking along the base of the western wall, you are dwarfed by a row of 3 monster blocks. They call it the Trilithon. Let's get the numbers straight because they are insane. Each of these 3 stones is over 62 feet long. They're 14 feet high and 12 feet thick. Each one weighs between 800 and 900 tons. And these aren't on the ground. They were lifted over 20 feet and placed on another layer of stones that themselves weigh around 400 tons each. But you won't believe where the Romans put them. Not at the front entrance where they would show off their greatest engineering achievement. They're hidden in the back. Why would they hide their greatest engineering achievement? The answer is simple. It wasn't theirs.
For years, the official story was that the Romans built the whole thing. But that story makes absolutely no sense. First, there's the deafening silence. The Romans were obsessive record keepers. They bragged about every aqueduct, every road, every major building they ever constructed. Yet for what would have been their single greatest accomplishment, moving 900-ton stones over 2,000 miles from their capital, there is not one single record. Nothing. Second, there's the technology gap. We know from their own records that the absolute maximum lifting capacity of the most advanced Roman crane was around 60 to 100 tons. The Trilithon blocks are 8 to 9 times heavier than that. They simply didn't have the gear. And here's the smoking gun. The Romans used a specific technique for lifting heavy stones. They carved special holes called Lewis holes into the blocks to attach their cranes. There are no Lewis holes on the Trilithon stones. The conclusion is inescapable. The Romans didn't build the foundation. They found it, built their temple on top of it, and never said a word. So if they didn't do it, who did? To find the answer, we have to leave the temple and go to the source. And what we find there is even crazier. Part 3. The quarry, where gods failed. About a mile from the temple lies the ancient limestone quarry, and it's here, among the silent, abandoned giants, that the true story of Baalbek is written. Lying in the ground is the famous stone of the pregnant woman. Local legends say a pregnant jinn carved it. This single unbelievable block weighs an estimated 1,000 to 1,200 tons. For decades, it was the largest quarried stone ever discovered. Nearby, another monolith was found, the Stone of the South, weighing around 1,242 tons. But then, in 2014, archaeologists digging beneath the stone of the pregnant woman hid something else, something hidden for millennia. A third monolith. It's called the Forgotten Stone, and it weighs 1,650 tons. It is the single largest block of stone ever quarried in human history. This is the most important clue in the entire mystery. Think about it. The builders succeeded with 800-ton blocks. They quarried, moved, and lifted them. But they failed with 1,000 tons, 1,200 tons, and 1,650 tons. It tells us they weren't aliens with anti-gravity beams. They were a physical civilization with an incredibly advanced technology that still had a hard physical limit. A breaking point that was still light years beyond anything the Romans or any other known ancient culture could even dream of. What kind of civilization pushes their technology to this absolute limit and then just vanishes? Let me know what you think in the comments, because the clues they left behind are even stranger.
So, what was this technology? The stones themselves give us the clues. If you look closely at the surface of the giant blocks, you see things that shouldn't be there. There are strange, perfectly parallel scratches, some 10 feet long. They look eerily like the marks left by modern industrial mining equipment. And here's a detail that will blow your mind. These exact same tool marks appear at other ancient megalithic sites, like the massive Yangshan quarry in China and the ancient city of Petra. It's like the same construction crew was at work across the globe. In some places, you can see what look like cuts from giant circular saws. And Russian researchers found something even more precise. Along the edges of some blocks is a tiny inscribed line less than 1/3 of a millimeter thick. This isn't craftsmanship. This is machining. The mystery goes even deeper. Scattered around the site are the shattered remains of columns made not of local limestone, but of rose granite. This granite was quarried in Aswan, Egypt, over 700 miles away. To get here, these multi-ton columns had to be hauled over the treacherous Lebanon mountains, which reach over 8,000 feet in elevation. But here is the most mind-blowing piece of evidence. Hidden in the walls of the complex are blocked-up doorways. One of them has a lintel with a design that researchers on site have noted is virtually identical to the designs found at Tiahuanaco and Pumapunku in Bolivia, South America. Let that sink in. A design motif connecting this impossible structure in Lebanon to another impossible structure halfway across the world. These aren't just fingerprints of a lost technology. These are fingerprints of a lost global civilization. These clues, the impossible cuts, the global tool marks, the granite from Egypt, the connection to South America, they don't belong to just one period. They are part of a foundation that has been built upon and built around for thousands of years. It's like a crime scene with evidence from multiple conflicting eras. And when archaeologists try to unravel that timeline, the story only gets stranger. They found evidence of human settlement here going back to the Neolithic period, as far back as 9,000 BCE. This hill was a sacred place for 10,000 years before Rome even existed. Could it have been the Phoenicians? They worshipped their god Baal here, and some suspect the megaliths date to their time. But no other Phoenician site comes close to this scale. What about the Persians? Pottery proves they were here in the 6th century BCE, but their largest structures used blocks that weighed 20 tons, not 800. Then researchers found a shocking connection. The construction style in one part of the foundation is virtually identical to Herodian architecture found in Jerusalem's Temple Mount. Same patterns, same stonework, same measurements. This hints at a shared tradition,
But it still doesn't explain the impossible leap in technology. Every known candidate falls short. It's like we're chasing a ghost civilization, a culture that possessed engineering that rivals our own, but who vanished without a trace, leaving behind only these impossible stones. Part 6. Conclusion. The ultimate question. For thousands of years, people have tried to explain Baalbek with legends. They spoke of giants, the Nephilim, building it for biblical kings. They told tales of powerful spirits, the jinn moving the stones with magic. These stories aren't history, but they are an echo of humanity's awe. They are what we say when confronted with the impossible. The hard science leaves us with 3 impossible facts. 1. The weight. 800 to 900 ton blocks were successfully lifted and installed, a feat 8 times greater than the documented maximum capacity of Roman engineering. 2. The placement. These blocks were raised over 20 feet in the air and positioned on a platform. And 3. The precision. They were joined with sub-millimeter accuracy, a level of fine control over immense mass that defies the laws of ancient mechanics. Baalbek is not a question of if it was built, but how. It's not about aliens, it's about a lost chapter of human history. The abandoned stones in the quarry are the final, haunting clue. They are the gravestones of a project that pushed a forgotten technology to its absolute breaking point. This leaves us with the ultimate unanswerable question. Who possessed the technology and the organizational power to move 800-ton stones with the precision of a watchmaker, only to leave their even larger 1,650-ton masterpieces abandoned in the quarry, marking the final, silent limit of a civilization so advanced they have been completely erased from history?